Because I had so much fun creating my PetSmart cage reviews video in this style, I figured I would do something similar, except this time I'm going to be looking at some of Amazon's top rated hamster cages and giving my opinions on them. So let's dive right in. The first cage we're looking at is the KT Critter Trail 2-level habitat, and this is a very, very classic hamster cage, and it has been sold for as long as I have been owning hamsters. On Amazon, it sells for $72.99 US, and the outer measurements provided is 20 inches by 11.5 inches by 16 inches, which gives us a total of around 260 square inches of floor space. Keep in mind, many of these measurements are the outer measurements, so the internal floor space is actually going to be even slightly less than this. So on Amazon, this cage has a 4.5 star rating and it has 2,125 reviews. Here are just a couple of the 5-star reviews I found on it. Hamster loves it and so do I. Very sturdy and made with a nice hard plastic. Hamster outgrew its smaller cage and needed a new one. I really don't want to know what the previous cage was if this was an upgrade. Wasn't sure if he would go through all the tubes or just stick with the bottom, but he explores throughout it daily and loves every section of it. Easy to put together, just takes patience. As a consumer, I love that you can add it to and looks like it's a lot of fun for the little guy. Highly recommend. Great for kids. We have this cage from 6 years ago for my son and just bought the second one for my daughter. We love the case at the top for carrying the hamsters around. The only difficult part is the tubes fit really tight together and can take a bit to pop out for cleaning, but overall we love these cages. If you've been on my channel before, you probably already know my husbandry standards when it comes to hamsters, and that I personally believe that hamsters need large enclosures. So solely based off of the fact that this enclosure has such little floor space, I would never ever purchase this or consider it suitable for a hamster. But there actually are other reasons that make this an inappropriate cage for a hamster. One being the base of the enclosure is only a 3-inch pan. This just simply is not deep enough to put an appropriate amount of bedding for the hamster to burrow, because hamsters are burrowing animals and it's a really great enrichment for them. Another thing is the wheel that it comes with. I really wish that manufacturers would stop making cages and including wheels in them, because it's a waste of money for them to make a wheel because they're not making it an appropriate size. Therefore, hamster owners are not able to use these wheels for their hamsters. They're going to have to remove this wheel, chuck it in the garbage, or just never use it again, and replace it with something proper size, because the wheel that this enclosure comes with is only a 6-inch wheel, and too small of a wheel can cause a hamster to curve their back. And because of how often the wheel is used, this is going to cause severe back pain, and in worst case scenario, it can even cause herniated discs. This enclosure is pretty tall, and with the lack of floor space, that means you're going to be able to fit less enrichment into the enclosure. The less enrichment you have, the more likely you are to have a bored and unhappy hamster. A bored and unhappy hamster leads to stress and boredom behaviors, one being monkey barring. And because this cage is so tall, a hamster can definitely climb the bars all the way to the top. And because hamsters aren't the greatest at climbing, they definitely can let go, and that can very easily injure themselves. Then, of course, this is a critter trail, so it comes with the classic tubes and the factor of you can expand it. One thing I know about critter trails and the tubes, a lot of hamsters have escaped from them before. A lot of the times the connectors will become loose, they can easily pop them off, or even hamsters have chewed the connectors and escaped that way. And another thing is that the tubes that come with these enclosures is only a diameter of 2.25 inches wide. This is not wide enough for a Syrian hamster to comfortably go through, and actually poses a couple of risks like getting stuck or even injuring themselves when they try to go through a tube with full cheeks. Moving on to the next enclosure, we have the Critterville Arcade hamster home that is going for $57.99 US and measures 18.1 inches by 11.4 inches by 21.5 inches, giving us a total of 206 square inches of floor space approximately. This cage on Amazon has a rating of 4 stars and has 3,765 reviews. Here is just one of the reviews that I found on it. Cute and functional. Our little hammy loves his new cage. It's so cute. We had a traditional cage prior with 3 doors and it was horrible. My kids would leave them open and he would escape. So I thought this one would be so much better so they can see him more, and it only has 1 gate, which is on the top of the cage, so if left open, he can't escape. So far, so great. He loves the little hide. He sleeps so cozy in it. He hasn't chewed on anything like his prior cage. I would buy this again without a doubt. Do they not realize that hamsters can indeed climb? And if you left the door open on the top, they certainly could escape out of that very easily. On the website, I did find it funny that they wrote this little blurb. The easy-to-clean plastic base is designed to be deep enough to contain messes and give your hamster room to burrow and run. And it's a 3.5-inch base. That is not enough room to burrow. And I don't know why these companies continue to think that this is enough room to burrow. I do know that when hamsters were first coming into the pet trade, it was very popular to just put enough bedding for them to make a little bit of a nest and then use the bathroom on it. But we have since then learned that deep bedding is super important and it just provides a lot of enrichment to a hamster. Once again, we got another wheel that just isn't suitable for the hamster. It's a 6.5-inch wheel. This isn't going to be large enough. Please keep in mind, there actually is no such thing as too big of a wheel for a hamster. In fact, the bigger the wheel, usually the better, as long as it is a very easy to spin wheel. And dwarf hamsters often will find that they have more control over a bigger wheel than a smaller wheel, which is why you'll often see when they're running in, say, a 6.5-inch wheel, you'll see that they're very likely to fly out of these wheels. So once again, based on all of these factors, I would never buy this enclosure for a hamster, nor would I consider it a suitable hamster cage. Moving on, we have the Ferplast Hamster Combi1 cage that goes for $59 US with the measurements of 15.9 inches by 11.6 inches by 8.6 inches. Wait, that's like, hang on. That's literally this tall. That is this tall. That's like, my head is literally almost the same size as that height. Well, that gives us around a total of 184 square inches of floor space. This enclosure also has 4 stars and 249 reviews, and here is just a couple. The cage is very difficult to put together, but it is so worth it. My gerbils love it. He loves it. Most of the time when a person buys a hamster and gets it a cage, they get it a small cage that they can just sit in with a water bottle and food bowl. This hamster loves this cage and he hasn't tried to chew his way out so far. I can say that the price for it was less than what I can get at a normal pet store, but I like the cage and he likes the cage. And I might get some extensions for this cage so that there can be room for another and babies. Oh boy, babies. Good luck. I love reading what the manufacturer says about the enclosure, so here's just a little blurb. Combi1 is a hamster cage that is small, but contains everything you need to keep lively rodents at home. Oh, what? Lively rodents? Do you mean keeping a depressed and very sad rodent in this enclosure? Because there literally is no room for anything else. Based on how tall this cage is, it's quite likely that that base is about 3 inches, and it kind of gets wrecked because of the placement of things, of where the tubes are. They're super low on the base, and then the wheel can't go any higher. So you literally can only put a layer of bedding. You can't even fill it up to the top of the enclosure. Someone also answered on Amazon and said that the wheel is 5.5 inches wide, which is way too small. Remember, a Syrian hamster can be 6 to 7, maybe even 8 inches long. How are they going to fit on a 5.5 inch wheel? How? And in fact, I'm not shocked at this at all, but someone's hamster even started to chew its way out. Are you surprised? And last but not least, we have the Ferplast Laura small hamster cage that goes for $56.24 US and has the measurements of 18.1 inches by 11.6 inches by 14.8 inches, giving you 209 square inches of floor space. This cage has 4.5 stars on Amazon with 725 reviews. This cage was amazing for my Syrian hamster. The only thing was that she never used the wheel. Probably because it's not big enough. She didn't like the house, and the water bottle didn't fit where we put the cage. My hamster recently was diagnosed with cancer in her liver and womb, making her stomach larger, but she was still able to climb in the tube. Why would you let her? She loved climbing the wall of the cage. She was nibbling on the wires, and even though she had strong teeth, the wires didn't break. She adored the cage, and I would definitely buy it again. This hurts my heart. This is a person who doesn't understand the behaviors their hamster is showing and thinks that these are behaviors that indicate a happy hamster, when in fact it's quite frankly the opposite. And this hamster quite clearly was showing signs that they likely needed more enrichment and more space. And I can't blame the owner, because a lot of these behaviors are not talked about as bad behaviors, and because they happen so often, they're seen as just normal hamster behaviors, but they're not normal. They are just super common, and it's a sign of an unhappy and bored hamster. So finally, a manufacturer has listed how deep the base is, and they go, a deep 3.25 inch plastic base. Since when was 3.25 inches considered deep? The wheel size is also unknown, though based on the other Ferplast cage, it's likely also 5.5 inches or 6 inches. So once again, not to continue to repeat myself, but it's not large enough for a hamster to run on. The tube diameter of this enclosure is 2.4 inches wide, and once again, that's not large enough for a Syrian hamster to comfortably go through. You want to make sure the diameter of a tube is at least 2.75 inches for a Syrian hamster. A commonality you'll see with all these cages is a lot of them have the ability to expand and connect, and I really, really don't like this. I think this is companies preying on the fact that hamster owners are going to want to give their hamsters more. They're going to want to spoil them, give them more space. Therefore, they are going to want to go out and buy other attachments for the hamster. And if they're buying the attachments and more tubes, that is generating more money for the company. And the thing is with getting these attachments is, sure, it is definitely better if you attach 2 of these cages than just having 1. I'll give you that. But it is still not benefiting the hamster to the best ability because of the way these cages are designed and the flaws that they have. When you are connecting multiple of these cages, it is creating broken floor space. And you also have the issue of none of these cages had a proper sized base. None of them were able to provide a hamster the ability to burrow. A lot of these cages also have such little floor space, you're not going to be able to fit the things that I mentioned earlier. You may be able to fit 1 accessory per cage that you have, and that's just and not a great hamster setup. And the most concerning part about this is the fact that all of these cages have such high star ratings. So when someone goes onto Amazon looking for a hamster cage, they're like, wow, this cage has like 4 stars. That is a pretty decent rating. And they read the reviews, and there's a lot of good reviews on these cages, and they're gonna buy one. And I think that is such a waste of money when they can be looking into actual good proper cages. But the thing is, there are not a ton of appropriate sized hamster cages on Amazon. I'm gonna say there's like maybe 2 or 3, and they definitely are not the top cages that come up when you search hamster cage on Amazon. So in my opinion, I would never recommend somebody go out and buy these cages, because I just think they're a waste of money, because you are buying an inappropriate hamster cage. And if you're wondering what cages I do recommend, I would recommend large bin cages, aquariums and terrariums, Night Angel Bigger World cage, Living World Eco Green cage, the Ferplast Chrysity 100, some of the Paw Hut wooden cages, IKEA hacks like the IKEA Pax, IKEA Detolf, IKEA Linman, and DIY enclosures. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!